A different perspective, a new insight into life, a nugget of positivity and a hidden truth, and maybe an amusement for you. Welcome to From My Standpoint, a twice-a-month podcast with your host, Josh C. Jones.
If this is your first time listening, then I thank you for tuning in. And if it's not, well, thank you for coming back. And with that, welcome to a very special episode of From My Standpoint.
How many special episodes are you going to have?
I don't know, Random Voice of Questions. It depends on what life offers and presents to me and us, I guess. Anyway, as I was saying, welcome to a very special episode where I wish to briefly discuss character and my interpretation or my perception of what we have seen recently. Now, as you already know, President Trump and his wife had tested positive for the coronavirus at the beginning of October. It was sad, and it is sad, when anyone gets it, but being a virus, just like any other virus or germ or sickness, especially since we have seen people taking all the precautions and still, contracting this virus, I believe we will all get it if we haven't already had it, and maybe we already have had it, but we just didn't know it. However, once this news was announced that Trump tested positive, tens and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of prayers and well wishes of a quick recovery went out. That is fantastic. In my perception, that is fantastic news. And Joe Biden even sent out a thoughtful message wishing Trump a swift recovery. Trump refrained from negative attacks on Joe Biden, and even Joe Biden pulled all his negative and attacking ads towards Trump for at least one day. And this was commendable on both their parts. That is absolutely for sure. We need to make sure we commend both of them for doing that. And as the two leaders for the two major parties in this country, they both led and set a great example in that moment for each of us. Now, whether it was political or not, and even though it was temporary, each one of them showed a great example, one of restraint, of humanity toward each other, even humanity towards those who hold opposing political views, and one of character. Now that's important. They showed character.
For one moment, for at least one day, they showed a positive hope for each of us that even those who hold opposing political views can show humanity to each other, and that even a small spark of a good character still exists in each of us.
Yeah. Yep. That they did, Random Voice of Reason. And yet, even with these two major political figures setting a great example for us, there were still those who immediately jumped with joy, gleefully cheering and mocking Trump for testing positive. Now, these were the same people who are openly wishing and praying for his and his wife's death. Now, putting the facts aside, let's just put the facts aside and let's just ignore the quick actions that were taken to protect American lives. Those quick actions taken even at the cost of a record economy and an almost certain re-election. And putting political bias and hatred aside, these people, those that were joyful, cheering, and hopeful for suffering and death, they revealed their true character.
That character is what they have allowed to be built and cultivated through ignorance, through wickedness, through a hate-filled heart.
That was well said, Random Voice of Reason. Instead of staying on the path of compassion and sympathy for those who have suffered with this virus, even if just, a fear and stress with no major symptoms or symptoms at all, asymptomatic, they hypocritically stumbled on their own hate and wickedness. Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be evil that would wish death upon someone whose character and choices have not warranted such a consequence?
That is a very good question, Random Voice of Questions. If we were ever unsure of where some of these people stood before, if we were ever unsure of some of these people's hearts, if we were ever unsure of some of these people's hate, if we were ever unsure of the content of some of these people's character, we are no longer unsure. There might have been others, but this one event alone has revealed through these people's own actions and choices and through their own wicked hearts the true content of their character. They have willfully and openly opened the door to their heart and shone the light on that heart, revealing to the world who they have allowed themselves to become. Yes, they have allowed themselves to become that. Now, it has been said and rephrased many times and over again, and it still holds absolutely true today as it has always been, that people should be judged on the merit of their own choices, on the content of their own character individually. Let us not wrongfully label anyone on one side or in one group based on the actions of some. Now, yes, a group's ideals and philosophy may appear to be wicked and they may actually be wrong, but not all who follow that same group can rightly be labeled the same without first being shown the truth and being allowed to open their eyes and make that choice for themselves. I mean, can one accurately judge those whose eyes are blind, especially before they have had an opportunity to clearly see the truth and make that choice to still follow that wickedness themselves? As I say in my book, Volume 2, Your Foundation in Action, one might even ask if we can accurately measure or qualify a life before that life has had the opportunity to be lived and personally make such a choice. This is why we should not be so quick to fall for the trap that some other groups have. I know that, for me at least, the majority of the people I know on all sides of the political spectrum showed restraint and humanity in their choice and character at that time. It was a minority portion that revealed their wicked hearts and their corrupted character. Remember, both Biden and Trump showed humility and compassion and humanity and restraint, whether true or false is yet to be determined, but they showed it during this time with their choices in that moment. As the saying goes, and I'm going to change it slightly, in troubled times of distress and division and hate and uncertainty, when you get hit hard, in that moment, what is in your heart will spill out, and the character you have been cultivating will be revealed. For those who hate Trump, for those who think Trump is evil, and for those who hate Biden, for those who think Biden is evil, both of them, both Trump and Biden, showed more humanity, more compassion, more judgment, more restraint, and more of a good character in that moment than you, yes, you, who have been cheering, happy, gleeful, mocking, and hoping and wishing for Trump or his wife's death from the virus. Some of you know who I'm talking about. And some of you know, yes, some of you know that it is you I am directly addressing with this. Some of you may not yet know who these hate-filled characters are in your life or on social media yet, but if you do a little bit of independent research, they will quickly be revealed to you. Now, to those who are happy, to those who are cheering, to those who get joy from someone, anyone, any person catching the coronavirus, and to those who have and are openly calling and wishing and mocking and hoping and desiring for the death of someone, anyone from this virus, just remember, President Donald Trump has shown more humanity, more restraint, and more of a good character than you. And former Vice President Joe Biden has shown more humanity, more restraint, and more of a good character than you. Most of the nation has shown more humanity, more restraint, and more of a good character than you. I pray that you regain your steps and get back on the right path and repent and rebuild your character to that of compassion and good. I pray that you can show, even if it's just for a short period, the same humanity, restraint, and character that both Biden and Trump have shown. I pray that that spark of hope, of compassion, of restraint, of humanity will ignite in your heart and help bring you back to a person of good character. If you have not yet subscribed, then I encourage you to subscribe to From My Standpoint to ensure you receive a reminder when new episodes are released. You can follow me on Facebook at FM Standpoint, on Instagram at From My Standpoint, or visit the website www.fromtheirstandpoint.com. That's from, THEIR, standpoint.com, and click on my show, From My Standpoint. And don't go yet, since this is a podcast episode, we cannot forget what you have all been waiting for. And now, what you've all been waiting for, it's the wisdom of Dad Joke. We will all face troubled and difficult and uncertain times in our lives, just as 2020 has revealed. But there are moments when we must put our biases aside. We must put our anger aside. And we must let love take the place of our hate. Let compassion take the place of our callousness. Let restraint take the place of our unrestrained emotions and hatred and feelings. And let the world see that two opposites are more alike than they first appeared in their humanity. And that everyone has the choice of a good character. In these times, we must take a pause and, well, have you heard the rumor about the butter? I'm not going to spread it.
This has been From My Standpoint, a podcast to find a nugget of positivity and a hidden truth, encouraging and enlightening insight, entertaining a new perspective, and providing an amusement for you. We hope you were entertained, encouraged, enlightened, and enjoyed the show.